What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Kirby's Barbecue YouTube channel. Today, what we're going to be talking about is how to create your own job selling barbecue. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you guys so much. We are right there at 1,000 subscribers. We passed the milestone. So thank you so much for all of your support, the love, the comments, the likes, the shares, everything like that. I truly do appreciate it. If you want to get more involved with the channel, become a member. Next to the subscribe button, there's a button that says join, and you can look at all the different tiers where you can help contribute to the channel and earn some additional benefits like free brisket, like one-on-one coaching for your barbecue business, and for things just like buying me a cup of coffee. So if that's something you're interested in, go check that out. Now, how do you make selling barbecue a job for yourself? So I think of most small businesses like creating a job for yourself, because until you get into big business where you're hiring a lot of employees and things of that nature, essentially when you create a small business, although it may be classified as a business, you're essentially creating a job for yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't say that in a negative connotation. In fact, that's really where the world is going. I was listening to an Anton Daniels video the other day, and he made mention of this, and it was something that I had already kind of expressed, but to hear him say it was kind of cool. Is that, in the future, people are going to have to start creating jobs for themselves. And he was talking in regards to Doge and Elon Musk and Trump getting rid of a lot of federal employees, because these government workers, there's just way too many of them doing too many tasks that really don't matter. And it's spending our taxpayer money. And the thing that is shaking up the entire system right now is that, believe it or not, whether you want to believe it or not, the government is a business. And unfortunately, it is a business that is funded by our taxpayer dollars, and that business is not running efficiently. And I promise I'm going to tie this back into barbecue in the message. Just bear with me, okay? So the company of the government, everybody knows, left, right, center, it doesn't really matter. Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, everybody knows the government is inefficient, okay? And billions and trillions of tax dollars are being spent on things that shouldn't be spent on, like $1 million for condoms in some random country across the world, when we have homeless veterans all over the place and a mental health crisis and all kinds of issues here at home, not to mention gas and grocery prices and all that good stuff, home affordability. So it's things like that, and all the money we sent to Ukraine, right? But anyway, I digress. What I wanted to discuss was, okay, the government is running very inefficiently because we're paying all of these federal workers to do jobs that really we don't need to be paying them to do. And they are up in arms because they're going to be out of a job. They thought, hey, I work for the government, I will always have a job, because the government always hands out jobs and pays people that they don't need to be paying. And now they're going to have to go out, and they're going to go out into the real economy, the free market economy, where they're going to have to use skills and services that they have, or they're going to have to go get skills that they can go ahead and be valuable to a free market economy. They can be valuable to a business. And if they can't be valuable to a business, they're going to have to create a business. They're going to have to create their own job. And the example Anton Daniels gave was, if you think of all these Chinese restaurants that they have all over the place, if you notice, the only people working there are the family typically. And that's because they have essentially created a job for themselves. They close for 2 weeks out of the year, usually around Christmas, or whatever the case may be, to go back and see their families in other countries, or to just take a vacation. And the rest of the time, they're pretty much working 5-7 days a week. That is their job. They've opened that Chinese restaurant, and they've created a job for themselves. They don't need to hire other people, because they've created jobs for the husband, the wife, the kids as they get older. They've created a job for their aunt, or whoever the case may be, family members. Mexican restaurants do the same exact thing. And that is because they realized, hey, I'm not going to be able to make what I want to make out there in the free market being employed by other companies. I would rather create my own job. And that's what I want to show you guys throughout my process and my journey of starting a barbecue restaurant, because starting a barbecue pop-up is the first step that you take, and that in and of itself is it creating a job for yourself. And so first and foremost, just like anything, you're going to have to educate yourself. So, what I always recommend people do is go work in a restaurant, get experience working in a restaurant. If you have to start as a dishwasher, start as a dishwasher. There's nothing wrong with that. No one's above that. I started at the very bottom. In 2014, I got my first job in a restaurant. It was at a pizza place. I started as a team member. I was washing dishes, I was cleaning tables, I was making pizzas, doing all that good stuff, taking orders. And then I graduated and moved up to a team lead, then a manager, then an area manager, so on and so forth. And then I got hired at a much larger restaurant, making a lot more money, full service, full bar, everything like that. And so I continued to expand my knowledge base. But let's go back a little bit. So learn how to do dishwashing, learn how to be a cashier, learn how to talk to customers, learn how to prep food for the pizzas, learn how to actually be on the line preparing food in front of people, learn how to do to-go orders. Okay, foundational. Move up to shift lead. All right, now I'm doing those same things, but now I'm in charge of a shift. It's my responsibility to make sure the shift is running smoothly. If there's an issue with a customer or a team member on my shift, I'm responsible for it. So now I'm learning some things as far as leadership. I'm learning things as far as writing people up, discipline. I'm learning things as far as how to resolve customer issues. I'm learning the responsibility of, hey, if anything happens on the shift, it's on me. If something happens, if money's stolen, if we get broken into, that's my ass. I'm in trouble. I have to deal with those things, right? Then you move up to manager. Now you're in charge of the entire store. So as a manager, what are you in charge of? Now you got to place food orders. Now you got to place other orders that you might have for paper and plastic. Now you have to worry about maintenance in the restaurant. If the POS system goes down, who do you call? If you're having plumbing issues, what plumber do you use? So on and so forth. Now you're handling things around the building as far as the maintenance goes, okay? And you're handling P&Ls, profit and loss sheets. Do you know how to run a P&L? Have you ever seen a P&L? Do you know what it looks like? Do you know what it contains, right? So there's that level. And then you get to area manager. Now at this point, I was running 3 pizza places. Okay. So now it's okay, how do I manage managers? Because each location, each of these 3 locations has a general manager who's doing all those things that I just spoke about. So now it's my job to manage those 3 managers. Okay. Now managing an employee, a regular employee, is different. A part-time employee is different than managing managers. There's a little bit bigger egos. There's a little bit different way you talk to them. There's a little bit different way that you interact. There's a little bit different way that you discipline, so on and so forth. So now you're getting the experience of managing managers, right? Now you're getting the experience of multi-unit. How do the numbers stack up when you're combining all the units together, right? And so you need to get some restaurant experience if you want to do this. That is my advice. If you have a full-time job, then I would get a part-time job at a restaurant, couple nights a week. Even if you tell them, hey, I can only work 2 nights a week. Go in for 4 or 6 hours, whatever, knock it out, learn what you can learn for a year. Do it for 12 months. Learn what you need to learn. Tell them, hey, I want to open up my own restaurant one day. I want to learn everything that I could possibly learn from you. Tell the manager that. And hopefully they'll take you under their wing and teach you what you need to know. All right. And then at that point, you may have the confidence and the skill set and the knowledge to go ahead and create your own job, create your own barbecue concept or your own food concept, right? I know some people will find this video that aren't in barbecue. They might be in different things. And then you might say, okay, now I'm going to start my barbecue pop-up business. I'm going to go buy a $100 tent. And I'm going to go buy a $500 smoker. And I'm going to go buy all that equipment that I teach you guys what to buy in my pop-up videos. If you haven't seen my videos on how to run a barbecue pop-up, there is a playlist. Go check that out. There's tons of videos on how to create a barbecue pop-up on my channel. It'll be very informational. But that's how you start. You find a place where you can set up. Either, I don't know where you live, but maybe it's allowed to set up on just on the side of the road somewhere where you live. Or maybe you talk to somebody who owns some land that's free and they can set up, or maybe you go rent a spot in a food truck park, or whatever the case may be. Find a spot where you can run your pop-up business, and you start doing all the things that we talk about, creating recipes, learning how to cook your food. How do you like cooking it? Do you like doing it this way versus that way? Perfecting your food, perfecting your technique, perfecting all the things that you're doing, and ultimately trying to make as much money as possible running your barbecue pop-up business. Think about how much money would it take for you to make in your pop-up business for you to be able to leave your job. For some people who are in maybe a more corporate environment, maybe you're making, I don't know, 60, 70, $80,000 or more than that. It's going to take a long while for that barbecue business to replace your full-time income if that's something you want to do. But if it's not something you want to do, you could just do this for side income, additional income that you can use to throw in the stock market or real estate or another investment that gets you financially free. But maybe if you're making $10 an hour, $12 an hour, $15 an hour, at those levels, you can certainly create a barbecue business that can make you more than your full-time job. And maybe you do your full-time job making 10, 12, $15 an hour while you do your barbecue, but you do that during the week, and then you do your barbecue business on the weekends. And now you're doubling your income, right? Because you got to think about it. How much do you make in a day? If you make $10 an hour and you're working an 8-hour shift, then you're making $80 for the day. After taxes, I don't know, $70 a day. Can you make $70 worth of profit in a day selling barbecue? Easily, easily. So run your numbers. Just because you do, let's be real. If you need to make $70 profit for the day to match your income, we're just using simple, easy numbers, right? You probably need to make at least triple that to be able to take that as profit. So you're probably going to need to make, what is that? $240, okay, to make profit for the day. And I'm just throwing random numbers out there, right? I'm trying to account for food costs and things like that. But realistically, probably 300, right? I don't know. But it's totally possible for you to replace that kind of income with a barbecue business. And I think this is a good business to be in. It's a craft. It's a niche business. It's a type of food that not everybody can make. Not everyone has the time, the patience, the knowledge, the expertise to do it. And you have an opportunity to create a job for yourself that will make you income regardless of what the job market is doing, right? Maybe you don't even start doing this as a way to replace your job. You just do it as a backup, right? But in this video, right, we're talking about how to create this as a job for yourself. So maybe once you've been doing pop-ups for a while, you're successful, people start to get your name out there, your brand's growing. Maybe then you launch a food truck, right? And now you're in a food truck. Now you have the ability to travel to different festivals and things like that, different events, and do caterings and weddings and all kinds of stuff. And now you're talking about moving up, right? I think in a pop-up business, there's no limits on the income you can make. But the way I view it is a pop-up business is probably you're between making $0 and I would say, let's say, I don't know, let's say $3,000 a month. Okay. I think at about $3,000 a month, that's probably about where you're going to be kind of capped doing a pop-up business, I would say. There's always exceptions to the rule. And I would say for a food truck, now you're leveling up from $4,000 to $10,000 a month on the high end, I think. And then from a restaurant perspective, that's where you could be doing, $5,000 a month to, unlimited out of a restaurant, right? So there's levels. So creating a job for yourself, it can start as a pop-up, making a couple $1,000s extra a month, and then you graduate to a food truck, and then you graduate to a restaurant, and now you're in an opportunity. So we talked about the people who are trying to replace $10 an hour jobs, $12 an hour jobs, $15 an hour jobs. But if you're trying to replace a six-figure income, you probably need to get into the restaurant game, or at least have a very successful food truck. And so can you replace six-figure income? 100%. You just got to level up a little bit, graduate from the pop-up to a food truck and then to a restaurant. But there's steps to get there. The first thing is the experience. Get into the restaurant, start working. The second thing is going to be hands-on experience running the actual concept that you're doing. Go out there and do the pop-up for a couple months. Go out there and do the food truck, right? And then the third thing is scaling it. Scaling it up. Scaling it up requires you to make sure your food quality is up to par with the competition. It requires you to make a little investment in equipment, right? Like you see here, the stuff's not cheap. It requires you to do some marketing. It requires you to really level up, all right? And so if you're asking, hey, can I replace my job income selling barbecue? The answer is 100%. A lot of people have done it, but there are steps you need to take. It is work and it will take time. I am on that journey with you guys right now. I'm at a spot right now where we are ticking up. We've been doing pop-ups for a long time. We got a restaurant location now. We're in the works of getting it fully open. We're still doing pop-ups while we're getting the restaurant ready. And we are leveling up. We are making more money now doing our pop-ups than we were doing our pop-ups 4 months ago. And I expect when we open the restaurant, we're going to be making even more money each month. And what I'm doing is what I'm talking about in this video. What I'm doing is I'm trying to replace what I used to make at a job with this barbecue business. And so slowly but surely we're getting there. And so I would encourage you, if this is something you want to do, I would highly encourage you subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, leave a comment. Want to hear what you guys have to say, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.